Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name's David Wakeman, and it is great to have you here today. So I can't believe that we are actually arrived at the end of the year so quickly. Can you believe it? It's sitting here in November. It's been a huge year. I'm actually going to have Natalie Mead on in a moment, and we're going to talk about a little bit about, I think, what's happened this year and with Discover and around Snowflake, because it's been an absolutely amazing year. By introduction, if this is your first time, my name is David Wakeman. I'm the lead evangelist for Snowflake here in APJ. I'm sitting in, well, a little bit dark, not so sunny Singapore. So welcome wherever you are across New Zealand, across Australia, across Asia, or the rest of the world. We have an incredible Discover for you today for a few reasons. One, we're celebrating Snow Day, which happened last week, and it was a blockbuster Snow Day, and that'll be a lot of our theme for today. And we're also going to look at some content that came out of Snow Day and help sort of, understand what was inside that. But we've also got something for you if it is your first time joining us today. So let's have a little bit of a look around what we have in store for you today. For those who don't know Discover, if you are new, this is our locally produced Asia Pacific and Japan, technical to technical. It's something put together specifically for you to get you in touch with not only the latest technologies from Snowflake, but also to get to meet the team. So our local team, our local SEs, our local principals, our local feed CTOs, and these are the folks that you can call up. They can come around, you can meet them, but just to sort of build a relationship with some of those folks. To do that, we make it all live, and we're actually going to make get you to meet. No, we're not going to get you to eat anyone. We're going to get you to meet someone who leads the technical team from our SVP of Product, Christian Kleinerman, who's coming on later. But before we get into all of that, what are you actually going to learn today? We're going to talk about architectures of apps. We're going to dive into hybrid tables. We're going to learn more about Snowpark and some of the incredible capabilities we have now for not only ML, but also AI. We'll touch on Streamlit. You'll learn about user-defined functions. We'll look at how to ingest data. You're going to learn a number of aspects right across our workloads and our platforms today, and I hope you're going to enjoy that learning. As I mentioned before, we have two very special guests. For our first session today, in a moment, I'm going to bring Natalie Mead, our VP of Sales Engineering here in APJ, so I'll bring up to the stage. And after that, we are going to have Christian Kleinerman. Christian, if you ever wonder who builds the products, who creates the products, who comes up with all this stuff, well, it's Christian, not Christian, of course, by himself, but he certainly leads the team that does. We've got him on for a live question and answer. So here's the thing that I would like to ask everyone while you're watching Natalie present over the next sort of 20 minutes or so is this is live. As I mentioned, it's live and free. We have a Q&A set up for you. What I would love you to do, pardon me, is actually put your questions for Christian into the Q&A window. So while Natalie is speaking, I'm actually going to pick up some of those questions. Now, obviously, we've got about 15, 20 minutes of Christian, so we're not going to be able to answer all your questions. I'm going to try and look for ones that are a bit common and put them together, but this is live. So you can ask him anything. What I would ask you, though, is let's try and stick to themes around technology. If you want to know about what was he thinking when he started to pivot into Cortex with AI, or you want to understand more about our data strategy, this is the time to ask Christian. So hopefully you're going to find that really enjoyable. I'd strongly encourage you to go and have a look at Snow Day. I've got the QR code sitting down here on the screen at the moment for those you can see, hopefully can see it. Grab the QR code. I'll pop it up a few more times today. Go back and have a look at the Snow Day announcements that came out last week. It's a great session. The video, the demos inside there are wonderful as well. So with that, I can see that Natalie has popped up on screen. So Natalie, welcome to Discovery. You've been on a few times now. This certainly, I have to thank you, couldn't happen without you and your team. So Natalie kindly organises all the team to be here. So welcome and good morning.
Hey, David, it's good to see you again.
It is. So we've got a big day. You're ready for Christian to be on. Hopefully he's going to jump on time. Otherwise, we have lots of people sitting here waiting for him.
No, I'm excited. I just saw him last week, and we were talking about all the cool announcements from Snow Day around Cortex and Horizon and all of the really cool things going on with apps. And so it's been a hectic week, and I'm excited to see him again virtually. And so there's some really good content in Snow Day, as you mentioned. The video is awesome. There's llamas, real llamas, other llamas. There's really good announcements. My session, we're going to talk maybe for 10 minutes, but then we're going to get straight into Christian because he's so exciting. And I'm really excited to talk through all the cool things going on at Snowday.
Yeah, well, I think this is our last, I'm pretty sure our last formal Discover for the year. We do have Bill coming up. I'll talk about that later, but this is our last Discover. So I think we're hitting on a high note. So actually that sort of leads me to maybe the start of your preso, and the first question in some ways was maybe walk us through what we've done this year. If you think about Discovers and Data Cloud World Tours and Summits and all these things, I mean, where's the journey taken us this year?
Sure. So let me let's do our favorite. Let's get us into the slides and David's favorite slide, the safe harbor and disclosure statement.
We do need to pop that up. We are going to walk through a bunch of new features so you can read this, but obviously we're not committing to anything until it's actually released. But yeah, we will be covering lots of new stuff today.
Exactly. So this is me. You know, everybody can see me again. I think you guys are probably sick of David's United States, and we'll get you to Christian. But I think the exciting piece, and David, we'll talk through this, and if there's any other questions you have while I'm presenting, please feel free to ask. But we're going to get into all of the things that we've discussed in Snowday. I'm only going to talk about a few areas, but I did want to tie back into kind of the core of Snowflake and what we're thinking about. And so for many of you, I think you've seen the snow globe multiple times, and this is really how we look at the Snowflake Data Cloud. And just as a refresher, all of these little dots are Snowflake accounts or pieces of data that are sitting in the Snowflake Data Cloud. And all of these lines are shares within Snowflake. And if you look at this I think was from April 2023. This is how many Snowflake accounts and shares we have going on within the data cloud. And the idea here is we're trying to really unsilo data. And so when we think about unsiloing the data, we really are talking about historically, you know, data was so siloed. And so, you know, when we were on-prem, you had one database. And if you wanted to send data over to another user or to a user outside of your organization, we used everyone's favorite FTP to get data into another interface or to do data transformation. And what ended up happening from that was we created more silos and more silos and more silos. And the reality was, you know, the amount of time that our data engineers and our data warehouse and our database users were spending trying to manipulate data into the right location or figure out how to get data from another group or how to build a training model onto the same interface was just taking a significant amount of time. And so just to go back to the core fundamentals of Snowflake, the idea with Snowflake is we are trying to unsilo your data. And so when we look at that, that's really all kinds of data. It should be your single source of truth. It should be governed as well. I will probably say the word security and governance no less than 20 times. So just be ready. And as part of Snowday, we're super excited because what we've also done is we've wrapped our governance and security into one interface called Horizon. Horizon is now our security and governance and access interface that really helps you understand where your data is, who has access to it, how you can look at security, potential security risks. We're super excited about Horizon. That was a big announcement in Snowday, and we'll talk about that as well here. But just to go back to the core of Snowflake, that's really what we were trying to do. We want a single source of truth. We don't need copies of data in multiple locations, and we want to have all kinds of data that you can have access to. That's structured, semi-structured, unstructured. If you have data sitting in open source, open tables like Iceberg, you should still be able to read and or write to that data. And the idea is we want to give you functionality. So when we get into workloads, what are we talking about here? So we have our snow globe. How do we start? Ooh, sorry, I am killing the, sorry about that. I killed the animation, so apologies. When we're looking at workloads, you know, we've got our snow globe here. And that's our that is kind of your data cloud. And the next thing we're looking at is, where do we start? Well, as you guys know, we started in the data warehouse space, and then we moved into data lakes. And then we got into Unistore. A lot of our customers, and that is actually coming into public preview very, very soon. I'm super excited. But Unistore was our interface to think about OLTP-like workload for very low latency. The next piece of that, what we got into was sharing or collaboration. How do you share data securely with other Snowflake users? How do you give access to users that might not be on Snowflake? Collaboration is really just with the disruption we had after analytics. That was really how we were trying to disrupt sharing and making copies of data. And then we got into things like data transformation and pipelines within data engineering. And these last three rings of the Snowflake orbit, as I like to say, is cybersecurity, AI, ML, and applications. And those are really the core announcements that I was really excited about with Snowday. I would highly recommend, as David mentioned, absolutely go watch the Snowday video with Christian and Dash and our teams, and really get into the details, because I'm only going to talk about a few of our announcements. There was a number of announcements over the course of that video, and the reality is that the details Christian will provide are phenomenal, and they will go outside of our immediate framework of what I'm going to talk about here. So lastly, as I always talk about, governance is the core of Snowflake. So we will get into what we're looking at with Horizon, how we're looking about access, how we think about our views of both security, collaboration, and really why this is the core functionality of Snowflake. One of the things that Christian talked about in Snowday, which I think is really exciting, is when you look back to day one of Snowflake, there were two founders. That was Benoit and Thierry. Well, the third person hired was a security architect, so that you can tell that this is actually the core of what we think about with Snowflake. So security and governance are critical to our success. And now you'll see through Horizon how we've built out areas like Trust Center, where you can really action on security and users and who has grants within Snowflake. All right. And lastly, the idea with Snowflake, if we come down to our core, is functionality and simplicity. So app developers should easily be able to code in the way that they want to code. ML engineers and data scientists who might prefer Python or Java or Scala should be able to code in their preferred language. SQL analysts, the core of where we started within Snowflake, should have the same experience as our data scientists or ML engineers. And then business users like myself. I would not call myself a SQL analyst by any stretch of the measure. But me as a user, I like to get insights into our data. So as a business user, I would like to look at how many registered attendees at Discover have been to a session before, or are focused on or had comments around data science, or had questions around app development. Well, now, through some of the announcements I'll talk about, me as a business user, I can actually go in using natural language, ask a question, run a SQL query, and get my answers quickly. There is an amazing video on Snowday that I will probably talk about three or four more times, that is a demo around how maybe a winter sports company looked at customer service requests and where they were seeing problems with a defective helmet. And so that video is critical to show you the business needs and how all users can get access to this data and build queries easily and action the data. So let's get into Snowday. So as we discussed, there we go. There are three innovation themes that we got into in Snowflake, or in Snowday, excuse me. Simplify the data foundation. That means, as we talked about, eliminating silos to unify all types of data, look at workload security, and then look at superior TCO advantages. One of the things we'll talk about is how we are building interfaces to show you your credit usage, to show you where your highest running queries are, maybe your largest warehouses. That's one of our announcements in Snowday that's really exciting, and it's in our Snowsight interface, and I'll actually talk through that in later slides. The next area we got into is accelerating AI success. As I just talked about, I'm a business user. If I want to run an LLM or maybe translate information from German to English, I now have the ability to do that very easily. I don't have to be an ML expert. I don't have to know a significant amount around generative AI. I can actually use Cortex, which we'll talk about, to translate for me. And then scale with applications. Our last area that we're going to get into is we're going to show you how much the native app marketplace has grown over the last 5 months. When we announced at Summit how many partners we had in the marketplace, that was a significant handful, but now that number has almost tripled. That's really exciting. And we'll talk about how you can search for data or search for applications easily through the marketplace. So, core functionality number one, simplify the data foundation. When we looked at the announcements around simplifying the data foundation, that means breaking down silos. How do we unify compliance and governance through Horizon? and how do we deliver superior TCO costs? So let's get into it. I am so excited about this. This is our cost management interface. It's within Snowsight. It is our interface where you can look at your account and figure out what your spend is. You can look at cost insights like, where do you have rarely used auto-clustered tables? What is your most expensive query? Maybe what is your top warehouse by cost? You can look at your top tags by spend, maybe by cost center. You can see there are different tabs around consumption numbers. We can get into budgets, which is in preview. You can look at resource monitoring. So the idea here is we want our customers to have insights. And the reality is most of our customers are very savvy on how they control costs. But this was a nice way through the Snowsight interface to put everything together and allow you to in one pane look at what you're using or what you're spending on or how you can actually decrease spending costs. This is in private preview. My understanding, Christian, is it is coming to public preview very, very soon. I expect over the next few months, you guys will see an announcement around public preview, but we're super excited about the Cost Management Center. And if you are an existing Snowflake user, I would definitely reach out to your SE if you want to be on private preview as well. But this is a really exciting user interface through Snowsight that we're really excited to talk about. So I've said Snowflake Horizon a few times, but this is our built-in governance that enables solutions with a unified set of capabilities. So a lot of this is already native Snowflake. Compliance is native to Snowflake. Security is native to Snowflake. Privacy, interoperability, access, things like role-based access policies, account tagging. How do we think about monitoring or sensitive data like PII data? How do we look at that? Well, Snowflake Horizon is our solution or our governance solution that allows us to look at all of this. And the exciting part was we've built out another UI interface called Trust Center, which is part of the Snowflake Horizon compliance solution. So the amazing thing about the Trust Center is you can look at violations by date. You can look at what type of violations they are. Maybe you had 5 or 6 users that haven't logged into their account for the last 90 days. Maybe there are more manager grants than we have seen, but the idea here is you can now get insights into the severity of the type of potential security risks, how to resolve them, what is medium versus high security. But the really cool thing about Horizon now in the Trust Center is you can take this and you as a business owner can look at this and say, where do we have potential security risks and how do we action on them quickly? This is in private preview soon. What that means is probably within the next few weeks, you will see this in private preview, and I expect we will accelerate public preview as well. We're super excited about Trust Center. This is just one piece of the Horizon story. And I would, once again, I'm going to tell you guys, go watch the Snowday video because there's a lot more in Horizon and we're super excited to show you what's going on there. So getting into accelerating AI success. As we talked about, we want to bring and make it very easy to simplify and scale the development, operationalization, and consumption of ML models. So we want to make it easy for you, the user, to use natural language or bring AI to life for your entire organization. We want to make sure you can potentially use, we'll talk about Copilot and Document AI and Universal Search, 3 areas of Cortex that are really exciting to help you as the user think about things like if you need specialized functions. I talked earlier about translate. So if I want to look at all of my Italian customers and the comments that they've made on my product, well, I don't speak Italian. So the reality here is through specialized functions, I can use the translate feature to take that data, translate it, and then build insights into how I might action specific comments. We talked about Document AI at Summit. That was announced in Summit, but we'll also get into things like Snowflake Copilot. I will get into that in later slides, but this is where we really took all of these functions and put them together, and this is where Cortex really came from. So the 3 LLMs that we've released as part of Cortex are Document AI, as you guys probably saw during Data Cloud World Tour, Snowflake Copilot, and Universal Search. I will get into Snowflake Copilot next, but Universal Search is really exciting. It is the ability for you to run searches on the marketplace around specific types of data, or if there is a specific app that you want to look for and you're just not sure how to search off of it, Universal Search makes it easier to really hone in on what you need from the marketplace or what you need from your data. Let's get into Snowflake Copilot. I'm really excited about this. So Copilot is a SQL assistant. So basically the idea here is it's an LLM powered assistant. It brings generative AI. It was homegrown by us within Snowflake. And the idea here is if I'm a user, and let's say I am not an avid SQL user, and I'm looking at maybe the urban crime in my city for the last 6 months, but I want to say, wait, show me this, not even say, show me crime, just show me this information for each month in 2021. The Copilot will actually build the query for me, and I can either add it to my existing code, or I can run it and get my data immediately. So this is really exciting for owners like myself or business users like myself, where I might not want to wait for my BI team to build out a table for this, or I might not want to wait for my data warehouse team to do this. I just need this data ad hoc and very quickly. I can use Copilot to get the data I need. It's available in the Snowsite UI, and I can run data as needed. It's great for ad hoc queries and people like myself who might not be superior SQL coders. I am pretty sure we were asked about notebooks no less than 6,000 times over the last 6 months. So ask and you shall receive. Notebooks is in private preview. It is the ability for you guys as our data engineers and data scientists who prefer a notebook experience to code in the way that you would prefer. You can do this through Snowsite. It is in private preview now. I expect we will accelerate this into public preview very, very soon. But you guys asked, here you go. Snowflake Notebooks is available now. And lastly, how do we scale with applications? So at Summit, we announced Snowpark Container Services and our native apps framework. And we had a small number of partners that were part of the native app marketplace. The idea here is we want to make this very easy for builders and for app developers to distribute and monetize apps quickly. So if you were to look at this slide at Summit, this number of partners and providers was probably around a third to a half. In the last 5 months, a record amount of our partners and our SPN partners, our marketplace providers, have put data on the native app marketplace, which is really exciting. You can see here there's 6 areas where you can search for native app partners: advanced analytics, maybe enrichment, cost governance tools, data clean rooms, identity and transcoding and connectors. The idea here is the native app marketplace is growing very, very fast. It is in public preview. I believe it'll be on Azure very, very soon. It will be in GA very quickly. I expect this is a question we can ask Christian as well. Again, it all depends on security and governance, something we really care about. But right now, we have a huge amount of partners on the marketplace, and I would highly suggest you start looking at the Snowflake Native App Marketplace because there are some amazing insights you can get from these customers. So that was a very, very, very brief preview of what happened at Snowday. Again, I would highly suggest you watch the video, and now I will hand this over to David for a little discussion around Christian.
Yeah. So thanks, Natalie. How many questions did we get about notebooks?
Oh,
wow, so many. So I was pleased.
Christian will tell you, we probably, not only from our own teams, but from all of our customers, when are you going to have a notebook experience? I prefer a notebook experience. And we said, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, you can still use other third-party notebooks as well, of course, but obviously people want to see us produce one, which is fantastic. So just before we go over, and I've got a little video actually of Christian sort of taking highlights out of that, which I'll play for everyone in a moment. And thanks for the quick run through of feature set. Quick call out for those who are listening. Please pop some questions. I grabbed a couple out of the Q&A already for Christian. This is your chance. We've got the person who builds all this stuff. He comes up with the strategy. He directs all the teams. Christian is definitely the person who's in charge of all of that. He's going to be on in a few moments. So, if you've got questions, particularly around Snowday or around the technology questions in general from what Snowflake's doing, this is the time. So I was just going to wrap up here, Natalie, and I sort of started to pose the question at the start. We covered a lot of ground. We started off with Discover earlier this year, as you recall. We got through, data lake, data warehouse. Where do we go to from there? I mean, there's been so many. We went from there to
data warehouse, data engineering, data science, collaboration, and then we went into apps, and then we did Best of Summit. And now we're here for Best of Snowday.
Yeah, exactly. And plus the little tour, we did a Data Cloud tour, world tour around the region too. So hopefully during all this, it's been beneficial for everyone. We really want to make sure that we've been able to sort of bring everything to you at regular intervals. And that's something that we'll keep doing as we go through the year. We're always open to suggestions as well. So you can look up David Wakeman on LinkedIn. I'll pop a slide up in the various sessions that we have that have my LinkedIn, link underneath that. And I love getting, people who drop a note to me for suggestions around, what they would like to see from future Discovers and where we'd like to go to. So just as a reminder, Christian's coming up in a moment. Today's format is that we do have a couple of different sessions. We have a couple for you. If you're brand new, don't feel that you're left behind. If you're just starting your Snowflake journey, we're going to start off with Semester after Christian, just talking through, right at start, basic ingestion, getting your first Snowflake instance up. We'll look at a little bit of data engineering as well. And then we're going to pivot back for those of you who are old hands and talk about we'll go into some of the newer themes that we've been introducing here in Snowflake, from iceberg tables, containers, large language models, etc. So hopefully a little bit of something for everyone. So with that, I'm just going to quickly set up a little video here for everyone. So what I'll do, I'll just take screen sharing here, if that's all right, Natalie. I actually had asked the team to put together a video highlights package that we put together of Snowday. So this is about 7 minutes or so. So I'm going to let you all enjoy this, and you can actually see Christian in action. Then we'll come back and we will have Christian himself, hopefully he's dialed in while I'm talking live. Please keep those questions coming so that we keep Christian busy. And with that, please enjoy the video.
Please welcome Snowflake Senior Vice President of Product, Christian Kleinerman.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for joining in. The most important aspect of what we do is we take complex technology, complex problems, and we make them as simple as possible. We have evolved the data cloud, not just from additional workloads and capabilities, and not just from collaborating on data, but we've also gone into collaborating with applications. And we have a number of interesting announcements on how the data cloud keeps getting more powerful and more exciting for all of you. Today's announcements have been bucketized in 3 categories. First is a data foundation. Second one is accelerating AI success. And the third one is going to be how do we scale with applications.
We chose Snowflake mostly because of speed and cost, but that was a bit of a surprise to us, exactly how inexpensive it was to run Snowflake.
We expanded Snowpark to include Snowpark Container Services, which is the secure hosting of Docker containers within the security perimeter of Snowflake. And it is very significant. It enables all sorts of interesting computation and business logic to run inside Snowflake. It has generated a huge amount of customer and partner excitement, and we are ramping up the number of customers and partners that have access to the point that we are introducing a public preview of Snowpark Container Services very soon. But one of the aspects that we are most excited today is how we want to bring AI for everyone and simplify the use and the experience of AI. And to do so, we are today introducing Snowflake Cortex. It is a managed service that lets you do serverless inference, and it gives access to industry-leading AI models. We're focused on ease of use, and we're focused on cost effectiveness. Effectively, what we're working on is helping you build generative AI apps and simplify the process of building AI apps. How do we enable you to chat with your data? And it starts with a function called complete. And complete is just a way to interact with a model, open source models, and the most common one is Llama 2. And imagine we're making it so easy that you log onto Snowflake and Llama is there. You want to build an app and Llama is there. You want to create a chat experience with your data and there's a Llama there. We're also introducing Snowflake Copilot. It starts with writing SQL. So maybe you want to write a natural language prompt and get some queries written for you. Or maybe you want to use conversation to refine queries that you already have in worksheets.
Today, I'm a data scientist at a ski gear manufacturing company called Ski Gear Co. And we want to understand why we've been having a big spike lately in customer complaint calls. I see we have a couple fields here. including the language of the call and the transcript itself. So just browsing through is helpful, but maybe now I can use Python to create some plots and charts to quickly identify the patterns of these calls and see what's the trend here.
You know, I tell people that I feel like a kid in a candy shop again in terms of just how much change and how much excitement that there is.
When you think about large language models in combination with managed services like Snowflake's Cortex, you can really give a lot of companies, small, medium, large, the ability to work with their own data and customize models in a way that they couldn't before with a lot of closed approaches. And I think we're going to see in 2024 lots of really innovative, exciting ideas that are going to emerge.
Now that we have all of our data in one spot, we can do machine learning much easier. We are starting to use machine learning to do some predictive insights, some predictive forecasting.
We want to help with the whole process of deploying, distributing, monetizing applications. And that's why we evolved our data sharing and collaboration capabilities into what is now the native app framework at Snowflake.
Native Apps empower software providers like MDO to deploy our application directly in Snowflake. We've already marked substantial milestones, such as successfully onboarding a top 10 hedge fund, and we're already on track to attain annual recurring revenue of $1 million by year end.
Let's take a look at how we can help you bring those custom applications into Snowflake, where they can take advantage of all the different features, including large language models, but also the security, the governance, and the compliance that makes Snowflake so special. What we want to do, though, is take the new summarization features that we built a few minutes ago, and we want to bring those directly into this application. The application itself, all the state, and the large language model functionality are all hosted entirely inside Snowflake.
Exciting snow day so far.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes, and there's lots of excitement that's been coming in from the chat. Folks are wondering, will they actually be able to sell and get access to models and features on the marketplace as well?
Yes, absolutely, and that's very important. Is all the way from data directly sharing data on the marketplace all the way to applications, and this application can expose modules, interface APIs, so where you can directly use model, and that this application can underneath, as you saw in the demo, use Snowpark Container Services to deploy these models and make the inference really interactive.
Snowflake Horizon, how we bring all of these governance technologies under a single umbrella. The goal is to have the most comprehensive governance solution in the industry, and we want to enable your organization to know your data, to be able to manage your data across regions and across clouds through a single experience. Snowflake Notebooks. As many of you would expect, there's a notebook experience with multiple cells. They can be SQL, Python, or Markdown cells. It leverages the full power of the Streamlit visualizations and interactivity. Universal search. It's a single consolidated experience that helps you search and find objects in the data cloud. Hopefully all of you are inspired and excited by the announcements that we have today, because at Snowflake, we innovate just because we know we make you more productive and you get more value out of the data.
Wow, that was a lot. Hopefully, all of you enjoyed that. I think when I was watching it, the piece that really excited me was, and really landed it from Summit to here, was when Christian kind of said, look, we want to turn creating models, creating AI into minutes. And I think that was a really powerful statement. Natalie, welcome back. But not most of all, Natalie, we're pleased to hear you. But Christian, also welcome. Welcome to APJ. We are so thrilled that you are willing to jump on live and be peppered with questions for our audience. How are you?
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. Natalie.
Awesome. So Natalie, I'm going to butt out of this, and I'm just going to go through and find some questions for you, and I'll let you take it from here with Christian.
Sure. So Christian, it's good to see you again. I got to see Christian last week, so it was really
in person.
In person. So I think, within the Snowflake community and our user group, you are world famous. You are globally famous. People love to get selfies of you, which I think is just amazing. But let's do a brief history of Christian. So can we talk about your days before Snowflake and talk about kind of what you did. My favorite story is when we were in Korea together and you were talking about a Gangnam Style video for YouTube. But let's also talk about what you did at Microsoft in those years as well.
Yeah, so at Microsoft, I was entirely building databases, data management platform. I was a product manager in SQL Server, ran product for the SQL Server relational engine, built appliances when appliances were the thing to build, and built what later on became cloud services in the form of Azure. So all along, data. I love data.
And then, you know, Snowday was really interesting. I was thinking about this and I was thinking about asking you this question. So when we were in Korea together, we were talking about, you were at YouTube and we were dealing with, you were trying to figure out how many users were looking at Gangnam Style, which was how many users have downloaded that? It's something crazy, right?
They were the first one to get to 1 billion views. And these days, I think they have 7-8 billion. But they were the first one to have a very large counter that needed to change the user interface.
So if you had to think about what we've done at Snowday and how we've looked at Cortex and Horizon and all of the announcements this week, if you had that now, way back when at YouTube and Microsoft.
Search experiences, chat experiences, conversational experiences, the role of pouring through dashboards will evolve over time. And I'm not going to say that they're immediately 100% replaceable, but they will evolve towards a more seamless conversational natural language interface where you can talk with your data.
Yeah, I was thinking about that from the perspective of Copilot. I would not call myself an avid SQL coder. And I love the idea with Copilot, I can just quickly ask a question and then immediately I can run that query and get the data I need. It's pretty amazing. So as we're looking at Cortex, you know, we've announced 3 components of Cortex. I think the big question from a lot of our users are, what's next? And are there any more on the horizon that we should look at? And then I know everyone's asking, when is this public preview? When is it? We get your favorite question of the day.
Well, so you answered it, what's next? Like right now, we're 100% focused on getting all of the private previews into both public preview and general availability. The feedback that we received on the Cortex functions is overwhelmingly positive. And the key question is, how soon can I get my hands on it? We've started onboarding customers already, but the mission for all of us is, can we in the next few months? It's not quarters, it's just a short order. How do we get all of that to be generally available so that all of you can build next generation experiences with data without having to spend time on how do you install a model and what is the right model and how do I do inference? So we're very, very excited about that. That's what's next. Will there be more capabilities in the future? Absolutely. We already have interesting, exciting things for our Snowflake Summit in June, but we'll tell you about that at Snowflake Summit in June.
Perfect. I think a lot of people have questions around iceberg tables. So in looking on how we developed iceberg tables, what was the challenge? What was our goal? And then how did we approach it from the perspective of Snowflake?
The main challenge is to be able to provide the same level of performance and functionality for data that does not live in Snowflake as what we do today with the data that lives in Snowflake. It's much easier when you're building a system from day one with the knowledge of this is the data format, this is the table format, this is how metadata is going to be stored. And querying data in external storage, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it was not hard. And we had external tables since 2019, 4.5 years ago, a little bit more. But making it such that you can do reads and writes with the same performance, with the same transactional consistency, with the ability to do all other features of Snowflake, materialize views, search optimization, query acceleration, that is the real challenge. That is why iceberg tables have taken a considerable engineering effort on our side. But the results that we're seeing so far are nothing short of stellar, and we're very excited to bring that to preview to all of you very, very soon. Public preview. They're in private preview and will be in public preview like a couple of weeks.
You guys heard it, a couple of weeks. I think also the other side that I really was interested around is Snowflake managed iceberg tables run almost as fast as Snowflake tables, which is pretty amazing. I did not expect that. And so that's super exciting as well.
I just received an email from one of our customers yesterday saying we did the assessment and it is what you told us. The managed tables are on par with the internal table. So it's very exciting what we're seeing. We can't wait to get it to all of you as soon as possible.
That's awesome. So let's switch over to hybrid tables. A lot of our customers are really interested in hybrid tables. Everybody's super excited about the progress around them. Some of our customers or some of our users have asked, can you tell us some interesting use cases where in private preview our customers are using hybrid tables? Yeah,
there are two that we've seen, even though they're in private preview, some customers have already started deploying use cases. The first one is pipeline state. So as you're doing a complex data transformation, one of our customers, what it does is updates a status record in a hybrid table every time that the transformation changes. So think of it as a state machine being tracked in a hybrid table. And for that, you want very low latency operations. And they're very happy, actually. They want to go into production before we are ready for production, just because they're getting a lot of value out of it. The other one that I think is going to be more common is the notion of application state. If I am building an application, if I'm building a native app, and sure, I may leverage existing Snowflake tables for analytical queries, but if I want to record the UI, like settings or quick operations, the state of my application, all of those usually are back-ending a UI, a front end, and you want those operations to be interactive, where the budget is tens of milliseconds, not hundreds of milliseconds. And we have already a number of partners and customers building applications and leveraging hybrid tables for application state.
That is awesome. That's really cool to see. I think almost all of our customers are counting the hours until we're in public preview and GA. So
I'm counting as well.
Me too. This one's interesting, and then I'll get into a few more questions. Alex Barker asked a question around further improvements to the Snowsight dashboard and visualization. And I just saw Chris Child last week, so I'll let you answer that as well. But my understanding is there's a lot going on with Snowsight.
There's a lot going on in Snowsight, more in the administrative surface area and in the worksheet. The honest truth is, on the dashboards, there is not a lot of investment going on right now, because we're looking at doing a merge of the notebooks that are built on Streamlit and Streamlit visualizations with the worksheets to produce a newer next generation of dashboards. And that's why you see that dashboards have not evolved much in the last 6 to 12 months. It is not because we don't love or appreciate that part of the product, is because we have some exciting evolution for them.
Got it. All right, this one came from Clayton Williams. He said, super keen to see the new data lineage UI changes to see if we can include pieces of that sit outside of Snowflake to build a full view on end-to-end lineage. Anything to add on that, or anything that you're seeing within your customer base?
Right now, everything that we have in the UI is focused primarily on lineage and dependencies from data inside of Snowflake. There is a separate conversation that you will not see in the product right now, which is whether we would support importing data from either Open Lineage or other providers so you can get to see the full graph. So we focus first lineage and dependencies within Snowflake, but we are aware that many of you want to see end-to-end lineage, and we're looking at how to import the right context for that.
Okay. I'm going to ask a little bit of a hot question. Can Snowflake read data stored in Microsoft Fabric? Or are these competing platforms?
Yes and yes. So we can read data stored in Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft, the Fabric, the underlying storage system is what they call One Lake. It's, at the end of the day, Parquet files in cloud storage. They use the Delta table format. I think they have plans to introduce Iceberg as well. And Snowflake Iceberg tables have the ability to read loose Parquet files. So even if there's no Iceberg metadata, we can generate that Iceberg metadata. So yes, we can read data in Microsoft Fabric. And yes, there are some overlapping competitive elements between us. Our feedback to all of you is go measure performance, and whatever organization or technology gives you the best price performance, that's what you should use against your data.
100%. I like to call it co-opetition. So we have a good question from Clayton as well. How can I reassure my business that their data is safe when we start using LLMs within Snowflake? Does the model come to our account rather than our data moving out of the model? And we'll send it. He actually was asking for a white paper around that. We'll send that as well. But what do you think about security and governance around LLMs?
Yeah, very, very important question. So thank you for the question. We are hosting the LLMs, whether it's Llama 2 or some of the models that we are building, inside of the Snowflake security perimeter. So we will be able to vouch and guarantee that your data that is stored securely and safely in Snowflake will be able to be used for inference for an LLM model without having to leave the security or network boundaries of Snowflake. That is a big part of the value proposition that we have. So you already went through a lot of scrutiny and validation of Snowflake as a trusted platform. And instead of having to send data to some other product or platform, we are helping you bring the computation, in this case, LLMs, to the data.
Got it. This is an easy one. Is Copilot, Document AI, and Universal Search an extra licensing cost?
No. The only way we monetize all of this is based on compute time used. Because all of these use cases leverage GPUs behind the scenes. We include the compute credits of those GPUs, but it is always just compute-based business monetization, not at all a separate fee per user or anything like that.
Cool. Another easy one for you. Are LLMs and other new features deployed in same regions as the data? I.e., are we, if we're in Australia, is it also deployed in Australia?
It's a great question. Right now, we're looking at giving guarantees at the geopolitical boundaries. It may not, at least in the initial rollout, be in every single region, but for sure we need to honor things like data locality and promises that we've made to all of you.
Got it. Someone asked an interesting question. How do you address LLM hallucination?
Yeah, super important question. A lot of what we're enabling is not just give a context to an LLM, ask the question, and get answers. What we're doing is what many in the industry are now describing as retrieval augmented generation, where you are able to leverage the benefits of LLMs, but also seed the results and validate results with traditional information retrieval lookups. It's one of the most important aspects of being able to do generative AI and leverage LLMs in the enterprise. I would say the vast majority of efforts on Snowflake and many other areas is to get these models to either they give you answers based on facts or they don't give you an answer. Hallucination and making up results, that is against the trustworthiness that we all expect from a platform like Snowflake.
Yeah, I think I remember, weren't we in Korea together when Frank was using ChatGPT and he put in who is Frank Stutman, and they said he was the CEO of a different company.
VMware.
Yeah, VMware. So I think that's the reality, is we're just trying to make sure all of our LLMs are actually secure. All right, let me see. There's another few. Oh, here's an interesting one. What is the best strategies to limit compute costs in a development environment, specifically when importing data?
Yeah, we've seen some of our customers do a number of things. One is do data sharing from the production environment, so you don't have to keep a separate copy. I've seen customers do also clones from production data, where even if you have to modify it, you're not making entire copies, you're just incrementally modifying whatever you need. For example, for pipeline development, this is very popular. And the other thing that we've seen many customers is just run with smaller compute clusters, virtual warehouse sizes, because the data volumes are not the same as what you see in production. So those are a couple of the techniques that we've seen. We are looking at additional ways to simplify the economics of doing development in Snowflake, but the two that I described are the ones that are available to you today.
Got it. This one, we've gotten a couple questions around this. Is Snowflake looking to incorporate large-scale warehouse automation frameworks like some of our partners do for both Snowflake and Snowpark?
large-scale warehouse automation frameworks.
Sort of like DBT.
Yeah, interesting. So we are looking at how do we provide additional call it orchestration, scheduling, and management of compute resources. The virtual warehouse concept is, in our mind, very innovative and very powerful. But as the operations that some of our customers are doing with Snowflake reach tens or hundreds of virtual warehouses, there is an opportunity to simplify scheduling and compute management, and we are looking at that. Nothing concrete to announce right now, but we are working on it.
Got it. This is a non-Snowflake question, but I'll bring it in, and we're going to talk about this in later sessions. This is a person asking about their understanding of Apache Iceberg and Iceberg hybrid tables. Is that a layer on top of Parquet, Arvo, or RC files that adds transaction history, time travel on top of those data files? So sort of like Parquet and Delta. Is that the right answer? And anything to add on that?
That is correct. So if you think data is stored in files, there are many or multiple file formats. The most popular ones are Parquet, ORC, and Avro. And then to be able to know which files are logically grouped into what we would call a table, there are different ways to express that metadata, that it says which files are in which table, what is the time travel for a table, what are the versions of a table. The three different table formats, open table formats that are available are Apache Iceberg, Delta, and Apache Hudi. And we've looked at all three, and we really, really like the architecture and purity of design of Apache Iceberg.
Got it. So this is an interesting question that probably would tie into our verticals, but Vineet asked a question. Hello, Christian. Healthcare industries have very strict rules, and they tend to have siloed data sources many times to comply with data security and risk regulations. You think having Snowflake as a single source of truth and governance in this use case is viable while being compliant? And knowing what I know about the healthcare and all of our vertical industries, I think the answer is yes, but I would love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, so absolutely yes, like an emphatic yes. We have many customers in the healthcare industry, heavily regulated, and we've achieved many certifications to help with this, from HIPAA to GXP and many others, to just make sure that we can help our customers in healthcare and life sciences industries comply to the requirements. I think the vision of being able to have no silos is very powerful when you can be able to do patient analytics across organizations or trials or treatments. But the notion of not having silos does not imply that if there is some data that you want siloed for any reason, regulatory or patient privacy, you can still keep data separately, and Snowflake gives you all the controls around role-based access security, data masking, role filtering. So we have all the ability. If you want to have data separate or keep it from some people, you can do it. But what's more important is if you want to have data combined in a way that you can do analytics across, Snowflake enables to do that.
I think that ties to every vertical. So we're heavily regulated. Banking, finance, manufacturing, across the board, retail. Okay, I got another question on costs. I think everybody, with all the features we've added, they're nervous that our costs are going to change. So somebody asked for the data access web apps. I think that's our native apps. Is there an additional cost for these, or is the hosting free and the compute costs for these are included in the data warehouse compute cost?
Yeah, great question. So all the compute or all the costs that we pass to the provider, the consumer, is just the compute cost. So that's standard Snowflake compute markup. It can be an application, can be powered by a warehouse, or it can be powered by Snowpark container services, but both are just different forms of compute within Snowflake. That said, application developers could choose to monetize and have extra fees on the use of an application. And they can do it based on consumption, based on time, based on subscriptions. Our marketplace will surface those information. You'll see when it says that it's free, and free means no additional cost beyond compute. but if it says paid, it will imply there's additional cost, but it goes to the provider. Snowflake is not monetizing those applications.
Right, that's through things like enrichment or those types of provider details.
Correct.
Okay, so let me ask another question about the marketplace. If there was one thing you want everybody to get out of this Q&A around the marketplace, what would it be? Maybe not one. Let me give you two.
I would say I would love for everyone to go to the marketplace, type a query of something that you'd like to understand better or enrich your data or put your own data in context. And at this point, we have enough content in the marketplace that I think the odds are high that there may be a data product in the marketplace that may help you provide better results and better insights to whatever the task at hand is for you. And I would love for all of you to give it a try and see and evaluate data products.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, we're right at time. That's amazing. You and I never are on time. It's pretty good.
The time went really quickly, and as we got going, the questions started to flow through there. So Natalie, Christian, thank you so much for supporting that. And as I said, that was a real live Q&A. I mean, Christian and I afterwards, the questions were coming as they came. So I really appreciate you taking that on board when you just dial into APJ and have prominently for this one, Australia and New Zealand suddenly bombarding with questions. We've got more coming, folks. I'm going to let Christian and Natalie go. So thank you again for joining us this morning, Singapore time where I am, or afternoon if you're in New Zealand.